going on, YouTube fam? This is your boy Jay Money here, and I'm bringing you guys a little heart-to-heart video. And this has been something that I think I'm qualified to really talk about because, as you see in the title, we're talking about combo players, combo decks in general. I've been playing combo decks religiously for the past 3 years, and my experience, I'm giving it to you straight, man. Being a combo player is rough. It's really, really tough in a lot of different ways. Now, I know a lot of players are going to think, what I'm saying is just like pity party or boo-hoo or whatever. Can't make your unbreakable boards or, 25 turns, X, Y. But there's some things I do want to bring to light. Hopefully give guys that don't really play combo decks like that an understanding, inside the mind of a combo player. So I want to break this down into a few parts as to why it's being tough in general. And so to start things off first, I want to start with, just standards first. The standard of playing a combo deck. Well, in the past, you gotta meet certain standards when playing any deck in general. Let's get out of the way. But the standard of playing a combo deck is somewhat different from other traditional decks that will just set a couple cards or T-set pass from, back, even in 2014 days. Combo decks, had to meet two standards. One, can you go second? All right. That is that's a fundamental component that has always been there, except now it's even more true in today's time, being modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Than it is back then, because if you did get stopped or something, yeah, you had all your resources, you didn't have a risk of getting OTK'd. Your opponent probably wasn't going to lock you out until probably like turn 3 or turn 4. It was okay, but since turn 1, nowadays in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is so important, that puts even more emphasis on the ability to go second. You basically have to, you got to be able to do what you got to do right then and there on your first turn if you're going second, or you just risk the game, losing the duel. That is modern Yu-Gi-Oh! For you. So aside from that, being able to go second, that's a given. Your deck has to be able to go second to be playable, especially if you're playing combo. Next, being another standard, being hand traps. Turn 0 it's a mainstay in today's game. That is something that we are going to have to accept. That is something that is a permanent fixture to our game. So, turn 0 interruptions, that is something you're going to have to factor in. There's a lot of combo-based decks out there that are really good if you go uninterrupted. We all know this. However, that is not realistic because modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Hand traps are guaranteed. You're guaranteed to see them all the time because, again, hand traps are a mainstay in this game. So, decks that literally fall to one hand trap by default just aren't very good. They're unplayable. Yeah, you can, all your combo pieces and stuff might be there and in the deck may be present. However, if the deck gets absolutely wrecked by a single hand trap, that's an issue by itself, and that alone can make a deck unplayable. So those are the two common standards. However, over time, the standards of playing combo has drastically gone up. The ceiling and the standards that need to be met to play combo are far, far higher than it has been. And honestly, they're higher than other decks that are required to see played. So what do I mean by this? Well, now we got to factor in a few things. Now we have power cards in the game that are much stronger, that are used to combat combo-based decks. The cards like Super Polymerization coming off the list and then coming back to 3. So not only the deck I have to play has to be able to go second. Not only do I have to factor in turn 0 interruptions. Not only do I have to be able to play through 1, 2, maybe even sometimes 3 hand traps. Now I have to add in another standard. Can this deck play around Super Polymerization? And that's a big deal because the card can't be responded to by any means necessary at all. So factor in that. So even if, that were the case, now you have new cards like Nibiru over here. You know, this is why older decks struggle a lot because somebody has said it very clearly. Older decks struggle with dealing with newer forms of interaction. Nibiru is one of these set cards. It's another blowout card that is much better against combo than any other deck. And if your deck does not have an out for it, you are going to lose that game because, again, turn one is so important in today's game. So it's like, okay, yeah, I can play around super polymerization. I got the hand traps covered. I can go second, but, do I have anything to neutralize Nibiru before or on the fifth summon? Or if I do get Nibiru, do I have a backup plan? Do I have another line of play if this happens? Do I have any fallbacks? All that stuff. You got to consider that. And even if you consider all that, now I got to consider Dark Ruler No More, another standard that needs to be met to play combo. Even if I can play through Nibiru, even if I don't lose Super Poly, what about Dark Ruler No More? I can set up these boards with all these negates, but if I get hit with this Dark Ruler, do I just lose? Can I stop the Dark Ruler in the first place? Most combo decks cannot because combo decks in recent time have been in the form of monsters and monster effects and stuff like that. So knowing this, you have cards like Naturia Beast and Exterior that were formerly really powerful cards. They're kind of useless now because, you have cards like Dark Ruler and Super Polymerization that you cannot respond to. So this in turn raises the standards of combo even higher to where now it's not enough to be able to just negate cards. Now you have to up the ante and play cards that stop spells from even being activated in the first place. Cards like Mechanical Hound, for instance. This is a very, very old card that, just reads, hey, if you have no cards in your hand, your opponent cannot activate spells. And you got things like Spell Canceller and things like that. It's absolutely, just mind-blowing to think that, it gets to this point where you have to play these stupid strong cards to make sure you don't absolutely just get blown out or just lose and all that goodness. So, these are all the standards that combo decks have to meet. It's so unrealistic that only just a minor percentage of combo decks can actually be playable because of this. Now, some players would think that's a good thing. Hey, take it for how you want, but you can't deny that there's a huge disparity between combo and like everything else. Every format there's only one combo deck, and everything else is just either aggro go second or just control. Want to control the pace. Either you're playing like 50,000 hand traps or you're playing just a bunch of trap cards. Either or, you'll have multiple decks like that, but only one combo deck of the format. And so that brings us to another side of things, another topic, which makes playing combo so tough is you don't have a lot of options in terms of playing combo. I can't play any combo deck I want for those standards that need to be met. So another thing that kind of makes this tough is the ban list. Like, this is a huge one. This is very, very, it's subtle, but if players pay attention, you can kind of see this. This is the fact that the combo deck may not even be the best deck, but it will almost for certain get hit the hardest on a list. Look at decks like Lunalight, Tiger just gets outright banned. Now, I would have wanted to see Lunalights do something, especially getting integrated in a format where you have Adamantispators and Eldritch. Adamantispators probably wouldn't be the only combo deck. Yeah, I know Dragon Link is a thing, which I'm absolutely astounded that there's actually more than one combo deck that's playable in this format. That never happens, like, at all. But, besides the point, we all know when it comes to a ban list, combo gets hit the hardest with the most prejudice. And not only that, but combo decks have the shortest lifespan in general. What do I mean by this? You see control decks all the time. Altergeist, Subterrors, Paleos, Sky Strikers, all these control-based decks like salamangreats, they live and last for years. You know, there's no cap, this is no exaggeration. They will last years and remain playable for that set amount of time as well. Meanwhile, a combo deck cannot last more than 2 to 3 months, regardless if it is the best deck or if it is not the best deck. When it comes to ban lists, man, it sucks. It's like, you know, you're on a clock when you're playing a combo deck, and it's just like, it sucks, man. Like, now, beyond just ban lists and just the standards you need to make the combo deck, let's go and move on to the moral side of things. When you're playing a combo deck, when you're playing a combo player, you are public enemy number 1. Period. Point blank, there's no refuting it. You are the most hated person in the room. You are the person that everybody is going to go after. You are the person that everybody hates with a vengeance. You know, and for multiple different reasons. You know, either you're playing, you know, FDK, you're playing some like unbeatable board, you're playing 25-minute turns over here, you don't want interaction, and all these different things. But, you know, there's different reasons why you would play a combo deck. Like, take me for example. Why do I like combo? Well, I like playing fast. I love the idea of comboing off in general, and like I find that very, very enjoyable. I love playing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I love doing crazy things, like crazy absurd things with these like niche cards that, you know, were made like 12 years ago that nobody uses. I like making combos is fun. Like, it's very fun. Comboing off is just very, very enjoyable to me as a player, and I love, you know, just doing like crazy things. Like, synergy is what separates Yu-Gi-Oh from any other card game, because the synergy level for Yu-Gi-Oh is so much higher than other card games, and combo decks are a very, very big contributor to that. You know, you see the amount of synergy from these like different combo decks. So you get like archetypes like Dangers and Thunder Dragons and like Guard Dragons and Dragon combos. You get all this meshed into one, and like that's nice. That is real ingenuity. I love stuff like that. That is why I'm not the biggest fan of Control, because I don't, you know, it doesn't feel like, to me personally, I have those kind of options. When I feel like I have a lot of options, that's when I have the most fun. You know, pure play. So let's tackle some of these. First off, let's talk about interactions. You know, the idea that, you know, playing a combo-based deck, you don't want interaction. There's a couple of things wrong with this. One, you kind of, you know, the decks that are being made that are combo-based, they are not designed to, you know, play a grind game. They're designed to be more glass cannon. They're designed to put all their eggs in one basket and just say, here you go. They're designed that way. If they were designed to be more resilient, which you clearly see an example in today's game right now being Adamantimators, if you do have a deck that has any kind of grind capabilities, players will not like that. They think that's too resilient and all that, and then something like that needs to be taken care of. You clearly see that when you do get a deck that can grind, that's combo, it's not good in the player's eyes. You know, so that's number one there. And two, I brushed up on this in another video. You're trying to avoid interaction as much as possible, because if your opponent is able to play in any way, you're probably going to lose that game. That is unfortunate, but that is the way it is. This is modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Every card does so much on its own. You can't afford that. And again, that's sad to think about, man. And it's a hard truth. It's unfortunate, and this is like, especially if your deck isn't designed to combo. You know, it's combined with the fact that the standards of playing combo are so high. You got all these blowout cards. You have no choice. You have to like build the best board you can possibly make to make it as strong as you can possibly be, to make sure it doesn't get broken. Because if it gets broken, you lose 100%. You will lose if your board gets broken. That's the way it is, and it sucks, man. But so it's not that we avoid interaction because we want to. No, it is because we have to. it is a necessity to avoid interaction, because if a deck like Sky Strikers or Ultra Guys make you play their game, you're not winning. So aside from that, just the whole idea of no skill and all that stuff too, I've left that part out, but I've brushed up on this before. Yeah, anybody can memorize a combo when they go uninterrupted, but that is not realistic. If you get interrupted and all you have to go off of is memorization of combos, you're gonna find yourself reformulating an entire strategy on the spot, and that's not good. You need to understand these micro interactions of what happens if you get hand dropped here. If this card gets removed from the field at this time, you got to understand those micro interactions, or you're not going to have a good time in a tournament setting. That is very unfortunate. And just the fact that, I don't know, just being a combo player is rough, man. Just, you got so many things against you. And it's not, and again, just the amount of combo decks you can play are so small. Like, you could probably say that about a control deck, but I can guarantee you, I can sit there and take a old ass control deck like Teller Knights or Great Kaijus, and I can sit there and throw in cards like Goes in Match, There Can Be Only One, Solemn Judgments, and probably get away with it, because the standards of playing control hasn't really gone up too much. Just because the trap cards that are getting made have just been made stronger. And so that alone can just carry control decks by themselves, along with new hand traps that get made. So, playing control decks, you don't have to do too much extra and all that stuff. So, that's the unfortunate part. It's reality, but it is what it is. So, so combined with the fact that you have all of these standards going for you, you can do all, you have to meet the highest standards of any deck. Your deck is on a clock, when it comes to a ban list. Players hate you for multiple different reasons. You are, again, your public enemy number one, and all that. Just, even on a moral standpoint, it's tough, And it's just like, all I want to do is just combo off. That's all I want to do. I want to go crazy. I want to do stupid stuff, because we play combo for a reason. I like playing at a million miles an hour. I like doing crazy stuff, but that's my take, guys. Just it's bad. It's really bad. Just, can you imagine? Now take this into perspective, because a lot of players think cards like Nibiru and Dark and Super Polymerization, Dark Ruler, the cards like these are okay. So take this into perspective, guys. Let's say, cards like that were made for control decks as well. Like, there are some cards that are anti-control, but not to that degree. Red Reboot is probably the best example. So, could you imagine if a card like Red Reboot also said your opponent cannot respond to this card? Can you imagine that? That's what it feels like when it comes to a card like Dark Ruler No More. If you had a card like Red Reboot that you just couldn't respond to, regardless if you were main decking Solemn Judgment, which you probably are, or a card like Evenly Matched, like let's compare Nibiru for combo decks to Evenly Matched. Let's say Evenly Matched was, faster to where you could activate it turn 0, and your opponent goes set 4, and you go, oh, before you enter your end phase, Nibiru, or activate Evenly Matched, wipe out your back row, you have one card left, just like you getting a token handed to you when you get Nibiru. Yeah, imagine that, man. Imagine just turn 0, you set your cards, Evenly Matched, didn't even get a chance to activate them. You're just like, bro, I didn't even get a chance to set up. Exactly, that's the point. That's like, cards that combat combo are just way harsher, just way stronger than they are than the cards made to combat control decks. Because, again, a card like Reboot, yeah, it's supposed to be 3, but control decks that set trap cards, you should probably be playing Solemn Judgment anyway. For those reasons and stuff like that. So, again, if you had cards like Reboot that couldn't be responded to, and Evenly Matched that was just could be activated at turn 0, players would lose their shit. They would demand bans and all that stuff. But cards like Dark Ruler and Nibiru are just, those are fine. Those are A-okay. I know this took way longer than what I anticipated, but I feel that the stuff I'm saying is very important. I just want to put this perspective on other players that don't really play combo. Again, just like you're on a clock, man, when you play combo. Just the ban list itself, like you could not be the best. You could be the third best deck and get hit the hardest, and it's like right away. There's no let it soak, let it simmer, or any of that. Let's do slide touch. No, ban, limits, just the whole 9 yards. Literally, just if you're playing a combo deck, you get 2 to 3 months of play from this deck before I absolutely murder it. But if you're playing a control deck, I either won't touch you at all, or I'll give you light slaps on the wrist, and you can accommodate it with the many other things. Now, now in that respect, when decks get hit by the ban list being combo specific, you would try to mitigate the things that you lost by adding in other things like engines, and other generic based stuff. Packages and engines alike, Sky Striker packages, Orcus packages, Brilliant Fusions and stuff for extra pushes, extra normal summons, like things like Nightmare Goblin and Summon Sorceress for an extra extender when you get hand trapped and stuff like that. That's what cards like that are for. I love cards like that because they can go into myriad of different decks, especially if A, they've been hit really hard by a ban list, or B, if it is an older deck that doesn't really have the tools necessary to keep up or handle these newer forms of interactions. But, of course, players complain about cards like these as well, and they too will get banned. And that is very, very unfortunate. So combo takes the biggest L for this reason. This is why I like cards like Needle Fiber and Firewall Dragon. Again, these cards are very absurd. Don't get it twisted. These cards are extremely strong. However, you can't deny that these cards allow the most decks possible to actually be playable. I'm not saying tier 1, I just want them playable. In all that sense, I want to play, my favorite deck like Windups. I want to play a deck like Windups and take it to locals and realistically do really good with it. But of course, decks like that need help. They're older decks that can't handle these newer things. So, you have newer cards like Summon Sorceress, Firewall, like Needle Fibers, like Brilliant Fusions, Instant Fusions, and like the Engage, Hornet Drones, and things like that. Those cards are like necessary for those decks to keep up. But, if you take them out of the equation, they're not going to see any play. And again, I could still take a deck like Satellar Knights or Great Oak Kaijus and just throw new forms of trap cards, like there can only be ones, summon limits and stuff, and judgments, and throw them into the deck and get away with it. But that's my take on this. I do not want this to be 25 minutes long, so I want to know you guys' feedback in the comments below. Again, blast other content creators and YouTubers with this video, and I would like to see a response video from this. So with that being said, guys, I would love to see your thoughts down in the comments below. I will talk with you down there. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. This is J Money, and I am signing.